I want to talk some more about this and a million other things. Joining us now, our great friend and mentor, Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor, and author of Trump's Triumph, America's Greatest Comeback. Welcome back, Newt. Can I just get a word in? You know, this story in the front page of the Wall Street Journal, very important. It drove up stocks. Very underestimated, you know, 100% expensing, full depreciation, even on building a new factory, is going to give these companies huge new cash flows. And they can raise workforce wages. They can train people better. They can give shareholders more returns. Well, I mean, this is almost an underrated point, but I think it's a very important point. What do you think?
Well, look, I think that if you take the combination of the one big beautiful bill with enormous breakthroughs in both taxes and regulations, you combine that with the relative effect for manufacturing of the tariffs, and you combine that with Trump's going around the planet picking up sales for American goods and picking up investments for America, I think by next summer we're going to be in the Trump boom. It's going to be very real, and it's going to create a choice for the voters next year between a Trump boom on the one hand and the Democrats' gloom on the other hand. The imagery you just showed of Schumer could hardly be better. I mean, these guys are proud of having stopped the American people from having the folks they want run the federal government. I think as the country understands what a deliberate strategy this is, they're going to be very unhappy that the Democrats are deliberately trying to keep the Biden people in charge despite the election.
Well, let's continue that discussion, because I think Mr. Schumer is missing a few key political points as we go along. Now, here's a CNN analyst, all right? This is this chap, Harry Enton, talking about Donald Trump as the most influential president in the new century. Take a listen to this, Newt.
I can't think of a more influential president during this century, and it starts here with tariffs. He said he was going to raise tariffs, and despite the claims otherwise, he is in fact doing that. Trump, at least in my mind, is the most influential president, certainly this century, and probably dating a good back chunk into the 20th century as well.
All right, there you have it. You know, good for him. Now, this is interesting. Trump promised tariffs, and they delivered tariffs. I think tariffs are underrated. People are happy. Remember, Trump rang the bell on the China trade threat. Tariffs are a way to protect that. That was in the first term. That was actually before the first term. Tariffs are protecting the American economy from unfair trading practices. I think people like that. Also, Newt, let me add, the border, huge issue in the last election. The Democrats were totally wrong on that. They still are. And also, Newt, woke. The Democrats embraced woke, you know, men and women's basketball teams, DEI, anti-Semitism. They're all for everything. Chuck Schumer can say what he wants, but here's this chap, Harry Enton from CNN, showing you the real numbers, how bad the party situation is. What do you think about this? Why is Schumer missing everything, and why is Trump getting everything right?
Well, look, I mean, Schumer's terrified that AOC is going to run against him in the primary next year, and he knows that if she does, she'll almost certainly beat him. So he is basically walking a tightrope. He's been around long enough, he's known Trump personally long enough, that he knows what he's saying is nonsense. But his caucus is now so far to the left that he has almost no choice except to repeat these things. Something happened to the Democratic Party really after Bill Clinton. Clinton was the last person who was sort of a semi-moderate, and it's gone steadily to the left. Obama really captured it. Biden was basically Obama's third term. And when you look around, you know, Mondami is a potential mayor of New York with government-run grocery stores. The Democratic candidate for mayor in Minneapolis is even more radical than Mondami. There's an emerging socialist wing of the Democratic Party, and it's the most militant, most aggressive, and best organized part of that party. All of this cripples them from dealing with reality. So in order to appease their base, they adopt things like stopping the president from getting the people he needs in office and trying to keep the government as much like Biden as possible, that's just all going to blow up on them. The country's not going to tolerate it. And by next summer, I think you're going to see a civil war in the Democratic Party. You're going to see the Republicans able to talk about an amazing economic development, an amazing border development, and America having returned once again to being the most dynamic country in the world. Trump is far and away the most powerful president in the 21st century. And frankly, if he can win the 26th election and sustain the momentum, he will rival or pass Franklin Delano Roosevelt in terms of shaping American politics and government.
So I've got one more. It's very interesting. From this CNN analyst, who's really an honest guy. Take a listen to this one.
At this particular point, the Democratic brand is in the basement. It is total and complete garbage in the mind of the American public.
Garbage, Newt. I mean, that's really something. I'm surprised this guy's still alive at CNN, but good for him. I give him a lot of credit. He's got a lot of energy. Some folks here know him. We talked about this morning on Outnumbered, the same thing. So I wanted to raise it with you. I mean, he says garbage. They use garbage. And I think the Democratic approval in that poll is 18%. Now, again, the Democrats are on the wrong side of every issue, but they keep criticizing Trump on every issue. And my other point, just a small point, you mentioned it at before. With Bill Clinton, Clinton was a centrist who kind of spanned, left of center, right of center. He was able to do that. I think President Trump has done the same thing. He's basically spanning what you call, 80% approvals. He's spanning left of center and right of center. And the far left of the Democrats don't get it. And Trump has become the centrist president, even though, he wants to undo Washington and its deep state. But he's the centrist guy. And the Democrats have been crowded out of politics.
Look, we have a project called the America's New Majority Project, and we take polls all the time. Right now, there's a potential 72% base for these policies. Not all of them going to Trump yet, but gradually moving that way. And that leaves about 28% left for the left-wing Democratic Party. It's really a remarkable change. In my lifetime, I've never seen anything like it, and it's beginning to put the Democrats in danger of really having next year a catastrophic defeat.
One other thing. This goes to what Mr. Schumer was saying and whining about, but I think that the Democrats are really on the wrong side of the spending issue, particularly the waste, fraud, and abuse, the Doge issue, I'll call it, okay? Elon Musk may be gone, but Doge is still there. They're still going to come in with rescissions in the next few months, or at least I hope they are. There's close to $200 billion in waste, fraud, and abuse. Democrats oppose any cuts in spending at all. Anything, any waste, fraud, and abuse, they oppose it. They don't know the difference between policy and waste, fraud, and abuse. I think the public can be persuaded to come along with continued Doge spending cuts, which will really give Mr. Trump another upper hand on a key issue. Now, what do you think about that? There's always risk. Nobody likes to cut spending in Washington, but maybe that's changed, Newt.
Look, the American people know that we need to move back towards a balanced budget as we had when I was Speaker. The American people know that if you're paying over $1 trillion a year in interest payments, more than your national defense budget, something's profoundly wrong. And they know that this is a spending problem, not a revenue problem. You have a big, bloated, bureaucratic system filled with waste, filled with fraud, and filled with incompetence. And the average American, by the way, in a Gallup poll, the average American thinks 50% of all federal spending is waste. Now, you and I know that's high, but nonetheless, it gives you a feeling for the country. And if the Democrats become the party of big spending, big deficits, huge interest payments, weird social policies, weakness in foreign policy, open borders, favoring the criminals over the police, they're going to be in for a very long, difficult process.
You just articulated the Mandami, the commie platform. You just laid it right out perfectly. You did it better than he did it. One thing after another. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Anyway, thank you to Newt Gingrich. We appreciate it, as always.
Glad you're with you.